Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Rune here, back with another Borderlands 3 build video, and today I'll be going over my ultimate Fl4k build that's based around no Season Pass 2 or no DLC at all. Many builds are focused on one powerful thing, but this build throws all those powerful things together to have the main goal of dealing the most damage and clearing content fast. This build loses some power without Guardian Angel, but that's only about peak power. You still have those options available, it's just sometimes those options are less competitive. We still go the Rakk Stab route, it's just without Season Pass 2 items, as Rakk Stab never uses the Fl4k purple tree. This becomes the main focus instead of grenade racks being really competitive, so I will also just link the Rakk Stab video and Fl4k build document where the Rakk Stab write-up is located. But this build is still all about novas, grenades, and melee. Still tons of gear options and still incredibly powerful. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. The save file will be found in my Discord, which is linked down below, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so first off, we have our melee setup with the Stinger and Fish Slap spam, similar to Quag's Rakk Stab. This is what it's all based off of. So first off, we have the Psycho Stabber, because this gives a 120% melee bonus, plus a 100% melee bolt. Now, this will have the 150 over 90 anointment, as this will give conditional damage / V2 damage, which will boost all of our melee stuff as long as enemies are above 90% health. Now, if enemies go below that, then we have the Wyvern here. Now, we use the Wyvern because it has a 160% melee blade, as well as being able to roll ASC Splash, which will apply to our Stinger and Fish Slap, making it incredibly strong here. Then we have the Face Puncher. We use this as our Fight for Your Life gun. You want to use ×7, as ×14 just takes too much ammo, and it's less damage per shot. Because of all the damage formula we have, this is a good Fight for Your Life gun. Or you can just use any strong meta gun if you want. I like to have URAD on here since while in Fight for Your Life, you're below 50% health, so it's just a nice bonus element. And it also apply to Static Charge as well as the Face Puncher. And then I have a Reflux here. I don't use it on my current skill tree spec. There's two specs you can do based off of what you have with no DLC or Season Pass 1. So you can also just equip an EMP5, but having the Reflux itself is not terrible. And you can also try to use this as a Fight for Your Life weapon if you want to. And then for our shield, we're going to use the Stinger shield. You'll want this with active skill start. This is a melee nova that gets melee damage when it breaks, as well as melee scaling and splash damage, and that regular elemental V1, V2. Now, if you can't get a Stinger, you can also use a Frozen Heart in the meantime. Still does good damage, as well as giving you a 3x melee bonus versus enemies. If you want to really boost it, you could try just holding a Wyvern. You could still hold a Psycho Stabber, but I like using a Wyvern as it'll just probably not kill enemies, but it'll deal a good amount with the splash boost. And then you can just finish it off with the Fish Slap. Just an option there, but the Stinger is going to be the stronger option. The element just depends on what you're doing. I like to have cryos just consistent. I'm not trying to freeze with a cryo. It's just a good element. I try not to match elements, even though I like to mostly go cryo or corrosive, just because if I go or have an immune enemy or just a highly resistant enemy of the same element, then you're gonna have a tough time. And then we're going to have the Fish Slap as the grenade. There's no replacement to this. It is a powerful grenade on this build. You're going to want to look for ideally link and roided parts, as this will boost the damage the most. You just want to make sure you're not getting parts that decrease the base damage. I'm not sure which ones do, but you'll be able to kind of tell just by looking at the base damage and comparing there, and then going the correct element you want. Now, I really like to try and have a strong element on this, as this will usually be like if I'm hitting a strong enemy, the Fish Slap is what's doing that damage. Not that the Stinger can't, but the Fish Slap is usually doing it the most. Link is going to be the ideal augments here because it will boost the damage the most. It says 50% damage per each damaged enemy, but it also will just apply to one enemy. This also gets melee damage, melee scale, mayhem scaling, splash damage, same stuff as the Stinger. And then you're going to want the ASC Rat Anointment. This is going to be amazing for mobbing. This will help you have a chance to apply red explosions just for even more damage. It's just really good because Flak has so much damage formula to boost those red explosions. And then you could also go ASC Terror Apply. Now this is really only if I'm doing bossing with the Unleash the Dragon, which I'll go over in a bit, but getting two of the same elements that are really good with two different ointments can be tough, to where it really just depends on what you want. You can get away without doing the damage terror fire rate. It just means throwing more grenades. But if you want to min max, then terror damage and fire rate will be ideal. This is V1 damage with the terror damage and fire rate, which we have a good amount of from Interplanetary Stalker, from Frenzy, from Pack Tactics, and Power Inside. So we're not lacking that damage. It's just double dipping into Unleash the Dragon, so it still is good. And then we're going the Peregrine class mod, which is a DLC item. You mainly just want to focus on the bottom rolls, as the top rolls are all good. You can either focus in damage or in cooldown. I focus cooldown because cooldown kind of just ends up with more damage. But really I would focus on getting splash radius and then splash damage or melee damage, depending on what you care about. Both are really good here. There's not really a bad choice. Just getting splash radius will help boost the Stinger Nova, and then also the impact damage of the Fish Slap. Now, other stuff that can be good is active skill cooldown rate, grenade radius is good. Crit damage technically isn't bad because the static charge, which is our artifact, can crit, but it's not often enough to be something to focus on. More just something that can be nice. And then other class modes we have, especially if going no DLC, I recommend the Rakk Commander. It gives an extra Rakk charge, which means that you just can activate your Stinger again, but it also can roll Eager to Impress, which is amazing cooldown, as well as just focusing on the bottom rolls again, mainly splash radius. The main thing I found was that not having Peregrine means you have to throw your grenades a bunch more, which does mean sometimes you can go Mayhem 10 with more than OK Boomer to give you grenades, or you could throw on an action skill start grenade regen on here. Other stuff you could use is a Bounty Hunter. I like getting Frenzy, but any of them work. Using this with corrosive damage is really nice if you use guns, especially if you go a strat, which I'll go over later, with going Megavore instead and using the reflux to get back a lot of charges. You'll easily have a Bounty Hunter up, which will give pre-add corrosive damage as well as just a bunch of hunt kill skills active all the time, which you can also pair with a Flesh Melter, which I don't have, to deal insane damage, or just get some good frenzy points. Now I found this while playing this build, but Cosmic Stalker isn't bad either. It can roll into Planetary Stalker as well as Big Game, which is all really good. It can also roll Hunter's Eye, which isn't terrible as well. So if you find a good Cosmic Stalker, that's really good there. And then Overdrive is the survivability class mod, as it rolls Rage and Recover, which gives max health regen, which is the best health regen you can get. So if you're lacking survivability, Overdrive can definitely help, focusing with splash radius again. And then I'd focus splash damage over melee damage. And then for the artifact, you just want to focus on a static charge with area of effect damage in the second or third slot. And then prefixes you can use, I like Snowdrift just for moving around, but for damage, you could go, I mentioned Flesh Melter with corrosive stuff. You can also go the stone stuff like Radiation, Cryo, Corrosive, all those different stones, as well as Knife Drain for survivability. And then augments to look out for is action skill cooldown rate, melee damage, and elemental damage here. And then you could also go White Elephant, but this is a lot better for just going mobbing with the static shards. It says after sliding you get a chain, but sliding just makes chains more powerful, and you will always have those chains going. All right, and then this is going to be for the big bossing, mainly the main raid bosses. Regular content, regular fish slap stuff with like Rakk stab is going to do plenty of bossing damage there. But first off, we have the Psycho Stabber and the Wyvern again. Same reasons, if above 90% health or below. Then we have the Brawler Ward. This is going to be used with a Sellout, both low level, to break our shield easily to get easy 300% melee damage while depleted. The elemental resistance doesn't matter. And then we have the Terror here. Again, it's not needed, so if you're not able to get a bunch of different fish slaps that are good with good elements, then don't worry about the anointments here. But you would go a fish slap with this, as this roid will apply to the fish slap, again, link or roided parts, and you just want to element match. This is going to be used to proc a huge Unleash the Dragon dot as melee, as fish slap is the strongest hitting melee instance here. And then the class mod really doesn't matter. As long as you have melee damage and splash damage, it will work well. I've never had problems with different stuff. Bounty Hunter is probably peak damage, where everything else is still nice. Cosmic Stalker would also be really nice as well, but I've used a Peregrine with this and it's done fine. Having fish slap thrown from a Peregrine is no different than just throwing your grenade. And then Unleash the Dragon is the biggest damage dealer here. It is a double dipping dot based off of the melee impact. So the base damage is the impact of the melee instance. So that's taking the melee damage, melee scaling, all of the melee damage formula into the Unleash the Dragon. And then you're getting all that melee damage in the melee, or not the melee formula, but the dot formula then, which will mean double dipping stuff like V1, V2, Elemental, debuff, a lot of just the global stuff. They can't crit since it's a dot, but that doesn't really matter here. And then you can just easily get Incendiary and melee damage roll, as the only other roll is Incendiary resistance, I believe. So getting this is really easy, so getting a perfect roll is ideal. And then something you can also do is use a Heartbreaker, just because it's fire with the LE crit anointment and it's multi-pellets, to crit an enemy and proc that. A lot of times I haven't found it needed. Anytime you would probably be true trial bosses. I haven't tried it, but it can work. I usually just let the dot finish out. And then you also do have a problem of sometimes enemies go fire resistant, and I don't have it on this build right now, but an elemental projector white elephant would also go really good. You'd use a dot gun with the matching element and just throw that on and hope that you get a good element white elephant. And the elemental projector will be double dipping elemental damage, hopefully, if you have the element of the white elephant going on, because that is random. And you really just want to make sure you have area of effect damage on there, as well as stuff like melee damage or elemental damage. All right, and then this is the Grenade-centric Rakk setup. Now, without Guardian Angel, this is a lot less competitive with Rakk stab setup. So we have the grenade Nova spam here still, but with actual grenades and Nova, not melee stuff. There is the option, if you want this to be more viable, is to get Megavore here, because we don't in this skill tree. I'll go over it now, and then I'll go over it again when we go in the skill tree. You basically give up 3 points in Pack Tactics and 2 points in Barbaric Yacht, and then just get Megavore. You could get points in Grim Harvest to make your action skill deal some damage, so your Rakks can deal a bit more stuff. Or I would just throw it in Second Intention. Now we do have skills, so you can still kind of do this, but this is really just to spam head count, if I didn't make that obvious, to get that cooldown as fast as possible, especially if we don't have Peregrine here. Getting Megavore is really good. I found with Rakk stab setup that you don't need Megavore with head count and reflux to get those charges back. You're usually fine. but it is a lot more helpful, especially if you don't have the best rolls. This will be a lot better. So we have the Unforgiven. This is going to be for maximum damage, as it has the crit damage, which will apply to our light speed as it can crit, or just any other grenades that can crit. This is 432% crit damage mult, including crit damage, or is a mult to other crit damage. With the URAD enlightenment, we are using URAD for a very strong bonus element. Then I have the reflux here, so you can shoot enemies and those chains can hopefully crit for a head count. It can even crit even if you don't have Megavore, but Megavore increases chances of critting, mainly if you don't want to try and aim for a crit spot and just do body shots. But you can also just do both. I still have a Face Hunter here just because reflux is usually a good fight for your life weapon, or you just have pet getting you up from like the wounds, so it doesn't matter. And then I just have an EMP5 for some movement speed. Then the main shield we're going to use is a Frozen Heart. There are other shields you can use, but Frozen Heart is going to be the best one. Void Rift is also a really good shield, but not as good as the Frozen Heart. It does a wide radius, instantly freezing enemies and dealing a great amount of damage. And then we have the Light Speed. This is going to be the main grenade I use, and just match elements with whatever the main health bars are going to be. I go Grenade Throw with this, as it gives speed 2 damage. Now when we make Guardian Angel with the full DLC version, this was additive, so it wasn't as good. You could also use an ASE element, like just matching element with the ASC, but doesn't really matter much. So we have Grenade Throw here, and I mainly go the Light Speed because it has a lot of projectiles going on, which means a lot of hit. You can also go the Gas Call, either Roided or Vindicator. Both are extremely good. Roided is max consistent damage, where Vindicator is max peak damage, but Vindicator means that you have to have both Gas Skulls hit the enemy, which doesn't always happen. And then again, we're going Peregrine, either with Eager to Impress or Interplanetary Stalker, depending on what you want. And I forgot to mention this, but you can get only +4 into Eager to Impress or Interplanetary Stalker. So that's why you see no +5s here. You'd want to still focus splash radius, but I'd also really focus on trying to get grenade damage, since we don't have it anywhere else available except for the artifact. So getting grenade damage is really nice. Now I didn't mention this in Rakk Stab setup, because melee damage is available to get elsewhere from our like Psycho Stabber or Wyvern, as well as our artifact. So getting it here is a lot more important. And then your secondary grenade or class mod option would be the Rakk Commander. Now, I would highly suggest, if you don't have Peregrine, going Mayhem 10 with Why Can't I Carry All These Grenades. It makes it a lot better. Now, Rakk Commander is mainly for spamming your Frozen Heart more, where you could use something like Cosmic Stalker or the Bounty Hunter for better damage overall for Frozen Heart and Light Speed. Still same uses for all these. Cosmic Stalker and Bounty Hunter are good for damage. If you're going the Reflux plus Megavore and head count, or just using Reflux in general and shooting a gun, then the Bounty Hunter will get a lot of use here. Yeah, still same class mod options, I guess, except Overdrive, since we're going Deathless on this, so healing doesn't really matter. And then for the artifact, you'll want to use any Deathless with area of effect damage in the second or third slot for that hidden radius boost, as well as grenade damage. Now, if you do get grenade damage on your Peregrine or just your artifact in general, then grenade damage is less needed here, but it's still huge to get. Same thing with the Peregrine, mix and match. But still, getting that grenade damage will be huge either way. I like to go Icebreaker or Snowdrift. Icebreaker if I want more damage, or Snowdrift if I want move speed. Now, going Icebreaker means we're moving slower, which means less gear speed, just meaning it becomes less than the Stinger Fish Slap option. That doesn't mean it's bad at all. This is still plenty viable. It's still a great build. You could also throw on a Spark Plug if you wanted, since we're going just slower in general. That would be really nice. You could also try and get some movement speed on your artifact, but that's definitely not an ideal focus. Elemental damage is also nice on here, but I'd focus on Icebreaker. If you're going Bounty Hunter, you could also try out flesh melter, but we also still do have frozen heart, cryo damage, and urad anointment going on, so you're not always getting those kills with the icebreaker. And then bossing, you'd still go like unleash the dragon stuff with those big bosses. Usually you could just use grenades for that, or you could just throw on a fish slap and probably do some good stuff. All right, and then in the skill tree, we'll start with red tree, as this is all the Rakk attack stuff in our pet. So this is an important tree. First, we have Interplanetary Stalker. This will give us V1 damage for the most part, is what we're focused about. And then we can also get movement speed, action skill damage, or corrosive damage based on what enemy we kill. Bounty Hunter makes these activate except for the movement speed bonus. Bounty Hunter turns that movement speed bonus off for some reason, but otherwise you'd get the other two bonuses consistently. Leave No Trace and Second Intention are for getting down the tree and also just helping with some gun support stuff. We have Hunter's Eye here for some conditional damage versus robots, as well as some crit damage. I believe this is post-add crit damage, so not good as regular crit damage, but we're also not critting as much, but the conditional damage is really nice. Then we have head count, so if we shoot a gun and score crit, then we can get back head count easily. Ambush Predator doesn't really matter here, neither does Two Fang. We go Big Gang to increase our hunter skill duration, including stuff like Interplanetary Stalker. And then we have just a bunch of other ones in our tree. Don't go Most Dangerous Game. The only thing that would really help here is crit damage. And then we go Galactic Shadow here. I'm going to go over this again as I did before. You can also get to Megavore if you want to go Reflux with head count with as much cooldown as possible. If you're finding that you lose your Rakk charges too fast, then head count can be really nice for this. You would just get it from 3 points in Pack Tactics and 2 points in Barbaric Job. Now this also means you could also do some gun stuff, which means getting stuff like Most Dangerous Game or swapping self-repairing system for Furious Attack. And that's really the only thing you would really change in here. So that would be just some nice stuff that it can open up if you want to swap the guns. Now, non-gun stuff is so much better than gun stuff, but it would be an option. So I don't really go over it, but the Fl4k Build docs that will definitely be posted in the description will have gun stuff that you can look over. And then in Green Tree, we have self-repairing system for the max health and the health regen. Again, if you go gun stuff, then Furious Attack will be better. And then we go Eager to Impress. This is just really good in general as it gets back cooldown after Flat kills an enemy. Especially good when we don't have good uptime on head count. But even if you have head count, this is still really good because it's free cooldown. Then I have 1 point in all my BFFs. Helps Flax Pet get some health regen, but mainly just a dump point to help get down to this tier. But we have Lick the Wounds, so Pet easily revives us. Then we have Turn, Tail, and Run. This is mainly for the health regen and damage reduction, mainly the health regen while moving. Now if you go gun stuff, the gun part is nice. Then we have Fast and the Furious, really just for the movement speed, as Fl4k doesn't have too much of it unless you benefit from Interplanetary Stalker or go the Jabber Pet, which you don't really want to go here. But then again, gun stuff nice if you go guns. Then we have Head and Machine just to get some conditional damage here. These 3 skills can be changed however you want. If you don't care much about movement speed, then you can put them into Rage and Recover and have Head and Machine. Or if you want to give up some points in Hidden Machine for more Rage and Recover, you can do that. But this Hidden Machine is conditional damage versus enemies that are not targeting you or attacking a different enemy. Then we have Rage and Recover for health regen, again, mixing up points here. And then Power on the Side can give 25% V1 damage, or if Fl4k's health is full, we'll give double that, so you'll have 50% V1 damage for 15 seconds. And then in Blue Tree, these are all pretty much dump points. This helps if you go gun stuff. The duration can also help if you want to, with that gun stuff, either go Gamma Burst or Fade Away. Gamma Burst plus Red Fang can be nice for Guardian Takedown Crystals, but you should be able to deal enough damage on this build that you don't need it anyways. You Rescued Who makes Fl4k's Pet pretty tanky and you'll never need anything else for it. You really don't need all my BFFs, but it's like, why not take it? It's 1 point to help. Heat bites, you only need 1 point in this, but we go 3 to go down the tree, and just means more damage reflected, so you can do some fun stuff with that. But really, it's just used to stack Frenzy easily, because whenever Flak's pet deals damage, Flak and their pet gain a Frenzy, which is V1 damage, and here it's 40% per stack. If you have 10 out of 5 from a class mod, then that's 40% V1 damage, which will then double dip in stuff like Static Charge or Unleash a Dragon, and then just apply it in general to everything that you're dealing damage with. So whenever an enemy attacks Flak's pet, that will gain a stack, or whenever Flak's pet just attacks an enemy, then it'll gain a stack, making it really easy to keep this up. Then we have Psycho Head on a stick. This is used to gain some movement speed for pet, to hopefully try and help it get to us faster and enemies faster. Then we have Barbaric Yop to boost our pet. Now what we use is the Spider and Scorcher, so we get more elemental damage. So Barbaric Yop is really nice. And then Pack Tactics for V1 damage. Now why when we give up to go Megavore, we don't give up here, is because we can get a lot more bonus from here with V1 damage, which is what we're mainly getting from, and then we're just losing a little bit of elemental damage, which you can still get from Guardian rank or passives on your artifact as well. But global elemental damage is still really good, because that global elemental damage is always double dipping in stuff that deals one element and then another element, despite there being like specific elemental damage. If you're going like a corrosive fish slap to a fire unleash a dragon dot, then that corrosive damage is only going into the impact and not going into the actual dot on the unleash dragon. And then the skills we go is Rakk Attack. This is so we can spam our Frozen Heart and get Peregrine, so that is really incredibly strong. And then what you really want to make sure you have is Fl4k. This will give an extra charge as well as cooldown. Flock and Load is really nice, so it the Rakks can hit more enemies. Since Peregrine has a cooldown, this is really nice because the initial hit of a Rakk may not throw the grenade if you already just threw one, where those extra Rakks can have a chance to hit it after that cooldown is up. You can also go Falconer's Feast instead of Flock and Load, as this will just help with better survivability. And then when you are going the Unleash the Dragon stuff with the Brawl Award, you will want to turn off Shield Reboot and Emergency Response, as this will stop your shield from recharging as much, which means that you'll keep that Roid bonus up more. And then I'll just go over it again. I don't have it on here right now, but going more than OK Boomer will be really good if you find yourself not having enough grenades. Or you can go Speed Demon if you want some more movement speed and you're going like slower with like not having a Snowdrift. More than OK Boomer just has a good grenade damage boost, so that's also just really nice for more damage there. I hope you guys enjoyed the build video. This build does take some knowledge to play correctly, and I try and explain the best I can, but I will link tons of videos in the description to help you out, and please ask any questions you have in the comments or my Discord. Flak is incredibly strong with all of his damage formula and can do some insane stuff. Who needs guns when you can just use anything else that's easily more powerful? Again, you can find the save file in my Discord, which is linked down below, as well as my other socials. If you haven't, I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.